Hey folks, welcome to Airtime Paintball, where people come to find out all the information they need to get good deals on paintball stuff. And today, we're going to be taking a look at this awesome value. I've made no secrets before about how much I love this thing. Let's talk about it. It's the Empire Syx. So, the Empire Syx. Let's talk about it. Before I get all into this, actually, thank you very much for coming to my channel. If you like these videos and you like to see more of this, and I don't just mean the Syx, so you can see in my channel paintball marker videos, gear, live feeds, all that kind of stuff. If you want more of that, like the video and for sure subscribe to the channel, please. Every additional person who subscribes helped me in the search rankings, so that people who try to find good information about paintball stuff will find it when they search. So please do that. Also, on Facebook, I know everybody's not on Facebook, but I got to pick somewhere to be, and lots of people are there. So on Facebook, look for the Airtime Paintball Mafia group on Facebook. Join that group. Hangouts are there. We give away free stuff. Cool spot. So check us out. All right. Empire Syx. These I mentioned in my little intro, like I kind of gave it away, right? Usually I'm like, well, what am I going to like or not like about this, and should you buy one? That's what I always say. Yeah, you should buy one. I'm going to tell you right off the rip. I love these things. They don't get the respect they deserve, and we're going to talk about details about it, take a look at it, and see why that is. So this is how they come packaged. Let's have a look at it. Get rid of our little sleeve. Now, this one's not new. I've actually played with this some. Well, I say that. I haven't actually played with it. I got it new, and it kind of ended up being a de facto loner. It's got like 12,000 shots on it now, and I've yet to play a single point with it. I have played with other ones, though. But anyway, so the case it comes with, you can see it's a nice case. It has kind of a soft feel on the outside, but it's got some good protection to it. I like the case fine. Like a lot of cases that have this molded foam insert going on, I would prefer a little bit more versatility, right? Like the Force, Field 1 Force case, for example, it has spots for barrels too, but they're just like slots. They're not specific cutout shaped like precisely to fit a particular barrel. And that lets you, like if you decide you want to use a different barrel, you can put your different barrel in there. And I mean, it's possible that a different barrel would fit in this, but so it cut out just to fit these specific barrels, and that's something that I'd kind of like to see change, but not a big deal. And you have spaces for all your other stuff, so all good there. We'll take a look at the barrel. There's two versions now. This is a Syx 1.5. The 1.5 just is the same as the original Syx. They just did a few upgrades. Bolt guide, ASA lever is a little bit shorter. They changed the default level of the brightness on the screen to make it so that it's a little bit brighter to look at. And the inside of the battery cover has a piece of rubber on it to hold the battery. Not a huge deal. But with the 1.5, there's even two versions of that. There's kind of a base model that just comes with one back and a tip and the marker. And then these are $6.99. I actually got this on sale for $5.99. Normally they're $5.99 with the extra back, $6.99. So right now $6.99. We've got the parts kit, of course, same as you'd normally see. Barrel cover, and what is a pretty nice barrel kit. You get three backs: 680, 685, and 688. Which are kind of weird increments, right? 5,000 between these two, and then 3 to the other one. But it's still a good kit. Barrel paint matching is one of those things that people love to do, and you can get a bit of efficiency and slightly different sound by trying to get a really close match. As long as you're in the ballpark, there really isn't a performance difference. So going 680, 685, 688, you could play your whole paintball career with just those backs and be fine. Now, of course, if you find some kind of gigantor old paint that's really big, you might not want to do that, but that doesn't happen very often. Paint nowadays is almost all below 685. So I get a little quick start guide here, which has a very small list of instructions, like how to set it up, how to put the hopper on and stuff like that. Nobody cares about that. And then we have the marker. And boy, that's really stuck in there. The Empire Syx. Now, if you're not familiar, and I have a different video, I think it's called like "Don't Buy My Favorite Marker" or something like that. It has the G word. I can't say the G word for fear of the YouTube police getting me, but and I kind of went through the history in there. If you're interested to watch that video, I'll put a link below. Let me just get rid of this case here. Yeah, so the Syx, even though it doesn't have axe in the name, it is the next in the line of axe markers, and there's nothing wrong with that. This is kind of my rant about the axe. They're great markers. The Axe Pro, still to this day, is one of the very best values you can get. Extremely high performance and almost no reason to not shoot one. It doesn't matter how much money you have to spend. Because they kind of started life as an inexpensive marker, they don't really get a lot of respect, frankly. People think of them as bargain, not very high performance, and nothing could be farther from the truth. The axes in general are among the softest markers on paint that exist. They're reasonably efficient. They're not like hyper efficient, but they're efficient enough. They're super like stone hammer reliable as long as you maintain them. Very reliable. They have a nice soft shot. There's just nothing bad about them. And the Syx is no different. It's the latest in the line. It has quite a bit of a different look to it. If you're familiar with how the axe bolt system looks, it's very similar in appearance, but there are some changes. The chamber here is a bit larger. They've changed the poppet seal to be an O-ring instead of a specialized, like a proprietary hard plastic molded seal. And that O-ring is both easier to maintain and longer lasting. So there's no compromise there. It's great. Very simple system. The bolt just slips off. You have the bolt and the spring, bolt guide, the whole thing. Regular service for this consists of popping it out, taking this off, lubing these O-rings here. Of course, you're obviously giving it a wipe down. Don't have to take this apart. Just grease these few O-rings here. Stick the bolt on. Grease these two O-rings here, and pop it in there. That's it. That's the maintenance. I mean, on a bet, you could completely do your maintenance in like under a minute. And the way the back cap works, it goes up and then turns to the side and just pops right out. Super simple, great system, works fantastic. So yeah, architecture-wise, very similar to the Axe. It's so you could think of this sort of as an Axe Pro 2 kind of. Like I said, it doesn't have the look of the Axe Pro, but this is kind of what you would get if you're going to take what's good about an Axe Pro and make it even better. You get the OLED in the grip here. Easily accessed eyes, although not toolless. They do have there is an Allen key there, or an Allen screw, I should say, for the eyes. It's interesting. The grips themselves have no exposed fasteners, but they're not toolless though. The ASA comes off very simply, and the bottom grip slips off, and then the top ones are secured by one screw on each side. But you can't see any of them, so when you look at it, you might think it's toolless. It's not though. I've said before. Oh, same with this one, by the way. There's a screw in the bottom, and then there's one in the top that you need to get to in order to take the entire grip apart. And I've said this before in other videos. Toolless stuff like eye covers and grips, it's pretty cool. I'm not a real, it's not like a big deal for me. Even on high-end markers, like I didn't even mention, I don't think, in my Field 1 Force review, where it still has the screws on the eye covers, which is, I think it's pretty much the only high-end marker left that has that, and those are like $1,550, I think. But even there, like, is it cool to have toolless? Yeah, it's cool. But do I really mind that there's a screw? No. It takes like a minute to get it off. Really not a big deal. So yeah, not a problem. These, as I pointed out, the OLED screen is here. Very easy to navigate. One thing I don't like about that screen is that it's not particularly bright, and unlike the Axe Pro, it doesn't beep. There's no beeping sound feedback, which doesn't seem like a big deal, and it's not really. I mean, are you gonna like fail to eliminate players in a game because you don't have a beep? Of course not. But with it not being particularly bright, a lot of times outdoors I can't see it at all. Like, I can't differentiate it from being on or off. So that means if I'm trying to change a setting or even turn it on or off, there's no beep feedback to let me know that I've successfully pushed the button. So I have to guess pretty much, right? And I've used one of these enough to know that you hold the bottom button in for a few seconds and then it'll shut off. But you really have to test it, like turn it off and then shoot it at the ground one time to make sure it's really off before you put your barrel cover on and whatnot. Because like I said, you can't see it. And when you can, like indoors, you press the button and hold it down and the screen changes to shut down and then you let it up and it shuts down. And you know you've done it. So yeah, I wish the screen were brighter for sure. It is on the low end of the spectrum in the world of screens. It's not, for brightness, I mean. The information it provides is fine and very easily programmable. There's a 2-button system. But yeah, I wish it were brighter. Speaking of that, the Axe Pro and the previous Redline board that you can get as an option on an Axe 2.0 and even the GS's and the Axes, and the Vanquish too, actually, all use a button joystick to navigate. And it works mostly okay. I don't think it quite deserves the hate that it gets, but it does have a problem that the little rubber cover they use, it's not secured very well on there. And frankly, it's my opinion, especially on the Vanquish, but other ones too, it's really the placement of the button that makes it difficult to navigate without kind of ruining that rubber cover. In fact, on the Vanquishes, the button is recessed into the grip to where you really have to kind of dig in there with your fingernail to get that button, and you just tear up that rubber cover. This has no such problems. 2 flush-mounted buttons make it very easy to navigate. That's a clear upgrade for sure. Really like that. Standard clamping feed neck. You got your clamp here with a thumb wheel. Good options there. I mentioned the grips not being toolless, and the only reason I brought that up is because it looks like they might be, right? No visible screws of any kind. They come off, as I mentioned. You pull the ASA off, the bottom half slips off, and then the top parts are attached by 1 screw each. The feel of them is excellent. A little bit beefy, sort of reminds me of the G-Tech series of Planet Eclipse, the G-Tech, the 160R and 170R. You've seen maybe in other videos, I've got a custom anode 170 that I love. I mean, I love that thing so much, I've paid to have it refinished twice just to get it to where I like it. But the one thing I don't like about that, or one of a few things, is the grips are a little bit beefy on those models. Same as the E-Tech 5.2, they all use the same grip. And this is similar in that from front to back, it's a little bit long, and it's just the overall general feel is a little bit chunky. Now, I have like freakishly long fingers, so it's not a problem operating it. My son, in fact, he's 13 now. He played with a Syx when he was 12, and even at 12, he had no problem. It's not like it's so big you can't hold on to it, but it does feel a little bit chunky. If you like a slim, trim feeling grip, that might be an issue for you. And also, of course, this front, it's funny, the way this looks is very polarizing. I know it's like this weird schnoz looking thing. It's definitely a polarizing look. I think that in some anno jobs and with the grips that have the colored accent on them, I think it's pretty cool looking. Doesn't bother me a bit. To hold it, extremely comfortable. Like the rear grip, the front is a little bit chunky for me. It wouldn't bother me if they trimmed it like this way here. Like if this front was a little bit thinner so the whole thing was a little smaller to hold. That might be okay. But comfort-wise, it's very easy to hold on to. When you switch hands, very easy to switch hands. Ergo-wise, great. The trigger on these, even though it doesn't have all of the sophisticated adjustments that some other markers have, for example, you can't adjust the rake independently of post and pre-travel like you can on the CS2 or the M3, which are both, $13, $14, $1,500 markers, whatever. Again, $599 here, not, we're not talking about $1,500 or $1,600, but you can't do that. However, even though you can't do that, this feels great. It is among my very favorite triggers on any marker. You can adjust it to have quite a bit of pre-travel or be very tight. I kind of like it in the middle, and I kind of complained a little bit about the grip being chunky. However, for me, the size of the grip and where it puts your hand relative to where your fingers are and hitting that trigger is super comfortable. I can walk this thing super fast, like all day long. Not that we do that much with ramping, right? But I could. It feels good. There. So feature-wise, that is about everything. I want to show you one thing. I mentioned the ASA lever. The Syx 1.5, this lever is shorter than the original Syx lever, and that's because when it was long, of course, the longer it is, the more leverage you have at the end of it to push it down, and even the short one is pretty easy to move. The long one was so easy to move that people would bump it on things, like drag it on the ground, maybe when they were crawling or something like that, and degassing the marker. So they made it shorter. I know I mentioned before, I'm not exactly an Olympic athlete or Mr. Snake. I don't do a lot of diving around, so it's never a problem for me. I did loan this for an entire day to one of my teammates who did play in the Snake all day long. He didn't have any problems. He loved it. He thought about buying one as soon as he borrowed it, actually. So no issues there. That is essentially everything you need to know about a Syx. Super easy to maintain, great shooting feel. Like I said, the very easy to remove bolt system. This kind of, there's been a lot of discussion lately about the amp shocker, and I've made no secrets about the fact that I'm not a fan of that. I don't think it's terrible. Everybody says I'm a hater. I don't hate it. It just isn't great. It's $900, and it has some issues that for $900 it shouldn't have. I bring that up because here's an example of a marker that's a third less money, and it literally doesn't have a single one of the issues that I complained about with that. Now, with that said, I've mentioned some other markers. The MacDevs come to mind that I've called MacDev before, like the Lexus of paintball markers. The feel and the fit and finish is like as good as it can possibly be. When you like pop the end cap up and down, it just feels expensive, right? It's extremely tight tolerances, very high quality machining. These don't quite feel like that. Let me see. I'm going to hold this up to this view here and change and see if we can see the end cap here. If I can point that out. There's a little bit of a gap there. Now, this is not performance. This is just my observation of being picky and showing you everything I can think of to show you. A little bit of a gap. It's not, in no way does that matter as far as using it. The cap functions great. No problems at all there. The feel of it going up and down is nice and tight. It doesn't feel like it's going to come apart. It's made out of all aluminum, no problems there. But it doesn't have that super snick, like Luxo feel. I shouldn't say Luxo because I don't mean Luxes. I mean luxury feel like a MacDev. No, it doesn't, frankly. But again, I bought this on sale for $5.99. It's not, a MacDev Prime XTS is I think they're $1,300 or $1,400. I mean, that's just way more than these. And the same thing with the eye covers here. If you look at the eye cover, there's a little gap kind of around that eye cover, a tiny bit. Again, this is not a huge deal. I'm just differentiating between like what you're getting essentially. Like where are you compromising when you only spend $600 instead of $1,500? And my point is not to criticize this. My point is that, notice I didn't say anything about compromising performance, right? The places you're compromising when you spend $600 on this brand new marker are little gaps in the eye covers that maybe are a little bit tighter on a $1,500 marker. The end cap has a bit of a gap compared to a $1,500 marker, right? The screen isn't quite as bright. Does it have a screen as good as a Dye M3? No, it doesn't. But what does, right? A Dye M3 is $1,595. These are the areas where you compromise. And the other thing I mentioned, right? Can you adjust the rake of the trigger, the angle, independent of the pre and post travel? No, you can't. You can't do that. But what you can do is shoot as consistently over the crony and have a quiet, soft shot and have absolute, unimpeachable reliability and serviceable, fine efficiency. Right, all ease of maintenance, all these things you can have for $5.99. Everything that has to do with actually shooting the paintball, getting eliminations, winning games, having fun, you get for this at that price. I've taken the time to shoot it, and I made a little video here. So let's take a break for 1 second and see what it's like to shoot. And I was going to say what it sounds like. And whenever you make a video of a marker shooting, you never get an accurate representation of the sound, because one thing I've noticed, you've seen my videos, maybe I'm always standing out by my garage where I work on my motorcycles and such, and I've noticed that depending on the angle relative to that back wall of my workshop relative to where the camera is, makes a significant difference in the sound I get when I record. And that's like one of a million variables that are very hard to control, that make them always sound different, right? Like if you get 1 foot closer to the camera, it drastically changes the sound. So you can't really tell what it sounds like, but you get an idea, what it feels like, and I kind of describe my my feelings about shooting. So let's take a look at that, and we'll be right back. All right. So we've been talking about this Empire Syx, and I wanted to come out here and shoot some paint through it and let you know my thoughts about shooting it. You can tell from the video, I love these things. They don't, I know I've mentioned this already, they just don't get the respect they deserve, like the Rodney Dangerfield of paintball markers, for real. They shoot great, they're soft shot, almost no kick. They're super reliable. I know I said all this stuff already. Really easy on paint, among the easiest on paint of markers that you can buy. They're just fantastic. So let's rip some shots off and see what we think of it. You can barely feel it shooting. The fact that it feels like this and it's not a spool is really amazing. I'm amazed every time I shoot it. And in fact, you can hear, whenever I make videos, I always say the sound, it's really hard to tell. When you hear a video, it never really sounds like what it really sounds like in person when you shoot it. The stock barrel is very good with this, like I mentioned, with different backs it comes with in this version. But you get even a little bit quieter of a shot. My favorite barrel to use on these is I have a 16-inch die UL, and that's what I use when I play with this. And it's even quieter than this barrel is. And it's just such a soft shot. I just love shooting these things. Such a good feeling. Really, it's hard to believe that anyone who's actually shot one of these doesn't like it, honestly. I know the Foregrip, like we said, the Foregrip it looks wonky, right? It's like fat nose, limp hanging thing. It's weird looking, but it feels good to hold it. I do wish it was a little bit thinner. It's like a little bit fat to hold, but it's super comfortable. The rear grip is great. The trigger is one of the best feeling triggers of any marker that I own or have ever shot. I really like the way these triggers feel. And yeah, I go on and on about it, I know, but if you have a chance, if you're open-minded about it and you haven't shot one of these, shoot one, because if you haven't, you're missing out, I promise you. I think I'm almost out of paint. Yeah, that's about it. Any more in there? Nope. The Empire Syx, the latest in the line. It's been out for a while now, but it's the latest in the line of the Axe line of markers. It's just awesome. Give it a go. So yeah, the Syx, it shoots great. There's just nothing. There's nothing to criticize almost. Like I said, when I talk about these little gaps, I'm like at the end of my list of things I don't like. That and the screen should be brighter. If they had a brighter screen that you could really easily read, and when I say this is dim, most screens can be hard to read, right? When you're in direct bright sunlight. This thing, you can't see that it's on if you're outdoors, even if it's cloudy, period. If it's not nighttime, pretty much, you can't see it. It's dimmer than average for sure. So I would like to see that be better. And that is really my only, I don't even think that's very significant, right? Because we're still not talking about anything that has to do with shooting paintballs. But it is, it could be better for sure. That's the end of my list of things I don't like about these, things I wish were different. They come in, this is a satin silver with, they call it matte, or dust, I mean. I don't like to say dust because all the different markers have a different idea what dust is, right? Sometimes it's like a gritty, sort of chalky feeling ano, and sometimes it has like a satiny feel. This silver, in the sun, it almost has like a metallic paint look to it. Like it has like shiny parts to it. It's hard to explain, kind of. I really like the ano. It's very nice looking. You can also get these in gloss black. I can't remember for gloss silver or not, but there's a bunch of options. There's various color combos: black with gold, black with red. There's gloss red I've seen with black. There's silver with red, that's a really nice looking one. There's all different ones. You silver with brown, silver with red, lots of different color combinations. Check out those. Like I said, I got this one on sale for $5.99. The normal price of these with the bigger barrel kit and such with the 3-backs is, I believe, $6.99. And as far as value on a new marker, I don't know how you can beat that, frankly. At the time of me making this video, Boss Paintball is building Axe Pros brand new for $3.99. That's an excellent value. That's a limited thing, though. When he's out of those parts to build those, that'll be over because they're not going to make more. So I didn't want to bring that up really because people are going to watch this video in the future and that'll have gone by. But if you look at the date of the video, if you're within a few months of that date, check out Boss Paintball, $4.99 or $3.99 for a custom built Axe Pro. That's pretty cool. He has like a handful of colors to choose from for the different parts. But apart from that, which is a limited thing, even for $6.99, I mentioned the amp earlier. Now it does have an ability to convert to mech, so that aspect of it aside, if we're just talking about electro gun versus electro gun, for $900 on the amp versus $6.99 for this, I firmly believe that if I were to do a head-to-head comparison between the two, this would win hands down. It wouldn't even really be close, and it's a third less money. Again, the sale price. It was still $200 less at the regular retail price. So great value. Used on the market, these go as low as $375, which is, that's just like highway robbery. And that's kind of part of what I was saying, that the people have the impression that the whole Axe family and the Syx is no different. They get this idea that it's an entry level. If you're really serious about playing, you're going to have to upgrade or whatever. Nothing could be farther from the truth. You can give pick your favorite pro team. You give them all 6s, and they're still winning as much as they win now. No question. Even with super fragile tournament paint, no problem with that. They're just great. But anyway, because they have, Empire kind of has a brand image problem, frankly, where people perceive that brand that they only sell like entry level or like cheaper quote unquote stuff, and it just isn't true. There's nothing about this marker that's cheap. The performance is excellent. The durability is excellent. There's just no issue with it. But because of that branding sort of reputational problem, it's not even reputation, I'm not sure how to describe it, but like people's idea of that brand, it makes the resale value low. So if you're selling one of these, sucks for you, but if you want to buy one, it's awesome because you can. I've seen one that was kind of game worn and had some scratches and stuff on it, sell for $320 like a couple months ago. That's ridiculous to have this much performance for that kind of money. So yeah, used or new, excellent value, and that's pretty much all I have to say about that. I'd like to know what you have to say about it. Put some comments below, and like I mentioned at the beginning, if you like these videos, please like the video and subscribe. I know I'm like long-winded and I rattle on, but people have been very kind to me, saying that they appreciate that I give my in-depth opinion. And I don't script any of these. I just kind of do it off the cuff, and I kind of ramble a little bit. But I feel like that helps me make sure that I give an honest impression of how I feel about everything I do a review on, and how much the features matter and all that kind of stuff. So, if I go on a little bit too long, I'm sorry about that. I'm just trying to give you guys the best information I know how to give you and the best sort of impression, because that's why we watch reviews, right? Like, the data or like the hard facts. You can find that out by just looking at the feature list or whatever. Like the point of a review is to listen to someone who's played with different markers and has a frame of reference to compare things and just see what they think about it. And that's what I try to do for you guys. So I really appreciate it. Coming up soon, we have a bunch more videos. I'm going to be doing a CS2 review, which I haven't done. I've had some CS2 info in a few videos, but we're going to do an actual review on them. Same thing with the Vanquish. We got a 170R review coming. Yeah, and more. And also, when MacDev makes with the XDR, we're going to be taking a look at that too. So please subscribe and stay abreast of when those things are coming out, and I will see you next time. Thanks very much.